This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar, also the TSO's marketing director, Felicia Canny, and we have a special guest with us today, that is Michael Lang, who is resident choreographer and director for Toledo Ballet. Now, the 77th Annual Nutcracker is being presented by Toledo Ballet at the Stranahan Theater with the Toledo Symphony. That is this weekend, Saturday, December 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, also at 7 o'clock in the evening, and on Sunday, December 10th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can find more information as well as tickets at the box office number 419-246-8000 or ToledoSymphony.com. So, we have had conversations about Thanksgiving. We talked last week about Christmas activities and concerts, and now we're talking about the Nutcracker. I have some Nutcracker activities in store for us, but before we get started with that, I want to get a little acquainted with you, Michael Lang. This is your first time, perhaps only time, appearing on Toledo Symphony Lab.
To be determined here. We'll see.
Give us a little background on you.
Well, I don't have the history with the Toledo Ballet, but my wife does. She took classes with Marie Vogt from age 6 to 18, and then she went on to New York City and pursued a Broadway career, and that's kind of where we met. We met doing Beauty and the Beast there in New York City.
Which were you? I
was the tumbling carpet. Yeah, so flipping around stage as a rug.
Wow.
But yeah, so we met there, and then a couple of surgeries and a couple kids later, we headed back to Toledo to be around family, and we've been running the ballet about 11 years now. So Here we are.
Well, let's get into our first little Nutcracker activity today, and that is a quiz. I've assembled a little Nutcracker quiz. Just as much to test our knowledge of Nutcracker as it is to kind of, open up the discussion to other avenues and to perhaps inform our audience of some things they didn't know about the Nutcracker. We all know the Nutcracker Ballet, composed by Pyotr Tchaikovsky, a lot of very famous productions.
So that's how you say his name?
Kind of like that. That's how I say his name. Yeah. Tchaikovsky, right? If you want to be real Russian about it, you can say Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky, something like that.
I have a very good friend named Andrei, who is himself Russian, and he always shows me how to say the composer's name appropriately, because I always say it Tchaikovsky or Rimsky-Korsakov. It doesn't come out that way when he says it.
Okay, how does he say it?
He says Tchaikovsky the way you do, and Rimsky-Korsakov.
No, you're not getting off the hook. You have to say it for us.
It's easier done after one shot of vodka, I believe.
And people think my job is easy. It's not. You have to pronounce all these names all the time.
I remember hearing an interview with David Letterman, who started off as a classical music DJ at some radio station in Indiana, probably when he was at Ball State. And he would have to listen to recordings of how to say composers' names over and over again. So he would just laugh about how to say Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov over and over and over and over again.
I can only imagine Letterman doing that.
Yeah. I can totally hear that in David Letterman's voice.
Absolutely.
Not. So let's bring up a little music to get us in the mood here for our quiz. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, I know that too.
Mandolins.
First question. What is the name, and this is multiple choice, by the way. I'm going to start with some easier ones, and then progressively
So if we don't get the first ones,
hard.
We should really be ashamed of.
Exactly.
We might just abandon the whole thing after question 2.
Like the New York Times crossword. Ready? What is the name of the magic toy maker in the Nutcracker? Is it Uncle Willie, St. Nicholas, Herr Frankenmuth, or Herr Drosselmeyer? Anybody want to? Felicia?
Ding, ding.
D. Drosselmeyer.
That's correct.
D for Drosselmeyer?
Yeah, D for Drosselmeyer.
But it's actually pronounced Drosselmeyer.
Okay.
Well, that's not how Letterman would say it.
No, Letterman says it completely different.
Who does the Nutcracker Prince challenge to a duel in the battle scene? Is it the Mouse King, the Grandfather Clock, or the Sugar Plum Fairy? Felicia again.
The Mouse King.
The Mouse King. I need to give you
but
guys.
But we do want to see him and the Sugar Plum Fairy go at it 1 year, just 1 year.
Yes.
That would be good.
Excellent.
Okay, I'm choreographing next year.
Where was the first production of Nutcracker given? The very first production. Was it in Frankfurt, Germany? Was it in Moscow, Russia? Or St. Petersburg, Russia? Zach?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg.
1892.
What country is not represented in the land of toys and sweets? Is it Russia, Arabia, which is that a country,
Arabia.
or Italy?
Ding, ding,
Michael?
ding, ding. Italia.
Italy is not represented. What is a sugar plum? This is one of those perennial questions that, people don't even think about. What is a sugar plum? Is it a purple fruit, a kind of pie, or boiled, colored, and flavored sugar?
All of the above.
I don't know, but I just had 2 right before I came in here, so...
I always figured it was a candied dried fruit, but I don't know why I say that.
It's pure sugar. That's
Really?
all it is. Boiled, colored, and flavored sugar.
Flavored
Usually
like
that.
plums?
Well, usually purple color, but it's
Right.
just like a little hard candy.
Oh.
It's pure sugar.
Really?
Now, as a bonus question, what is the special instrument, which was only a few years old at the time, that Tchaikovsky uses to illustrate in his music the sugar plum fairy? Zach?
Do I get extra credit for this? Because
Yeah.
otherwise I think I get voted off.
No, extra credit.
It's the
Survivor,
Celesta.
Zach.
That's right, Celesta, which
Is
was
it-
a new instrument at the time. Tchaikovsky was so interested. He had heard it in Paris,
Yeah.
and he went to his publisher and he said, "You have to get me a Celesta, and don't tell anybody else about it."
He was really concerned that Rimsky-Korsakov would find out about it and write something for it. So
You
Yeah.
found this in your research, right?
no, not at all. I just know this off the top of my head.
Wonderful. I see you looking down at your notes.
Conversations I have in the mirror every morning with myself.
That's okay.
Was this the first major work for the concert stage or the ballet stage using the Celesta?
I will ask the questions.
Wow.
Sorry, sir. I'll take my place.
No, actually,
Sorry,
I
Mr.
think-
Trebek. We thought you knew the answers to these.
I think somebody actually beat him to it. I don't know if it was a stage work. There was,
Yeah.
I can't remember the composer now. Somebody jumped in there and used it. But no, I think that he was the first one to use it, like, to illustrate a character, to illustrate something. So it's the first, iconic use of the Celesta in the orchestra. Next question. What does Clara throw at the Mouse King to save her prince? Is it candy, her shoe, a bag of nuts, or a wedge of cheese? Michael?
Ding, ding, ding. Her shoe.
Her shoe. She throws her shoe.
But once again, I want to see the wedge of cheese
Yeah.
played out one year.
I'm giving you all kinds of ideas.
The ideas, let me write these down.
I hope you are taking notes. The 3 beverages that dance for Clara are coffee, milk, and tea, milk, lemonade, and tea, hot chocolate, coffee, or tea, or just Jack Daniels. Take a choice.
What are my choices again? I mean, I know coffee's in there.
Coffee, milk,
coffee's
and
in
tea,
all
Tea is
three.
in there.
milk,
Hot
lemonade,
chocolate
and tea.
sounds like it would make sense.
Hot chocolate,
but-
coffee, and tea.
Yeah. No lemonade.
The last one, hot
Yeah.
chocolate, coffee, and tea. That's right. Can you tell me what 3 countries they're coming from? Hot chocolate is from...
Chocolate is
Dun, dun, dun,
Spanish.
dun, 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 dun,
Spanish?
dun, 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 is from Spain. And the coffee is from
Coffee is Arabian.
Arabia. And
Arabia.
that leaves tea from China.
China.
The first American Nutcracker was performed by, I'll give you 4 different choices here, was the ballet of the 20th century, the New York City Ballet, the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, or the San Francisco Ballet. Zach
That was
and
a
Michael.
photo.
Hi.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
San,
Francisco.
Cis.
Your voices sound eerily similar.
I just have a very big.
You each get half a point for that.
Yeah,
George,
but the interesting thing there is that it wasn't until the 40s. So we keep thinking of this as like a perennial Christmas favorite, but it didn't really go there until the 40s.
yeah, interesting.
Years after the Toledo Ballet premiered it.
The more you know. George Balanchine's 1954. Do you say Balanchine or Balanchine? How do you
Balanchine.
Balanchine? George
I've always
Balanchine's
said.
1954 Nutcracker introduced. Was it waltzing snowflakes, a toy cannon, dancing cookies, or a Christmas tree that grows? Which one of those iconic features of Nutcracker was introduced by George Balanchine?
I want
in
to say it's the growing
1950?
tree.
It is the growing tree.
Very good.
Good job, Zach.
I have some interesting trivia about Art Nutcracker. The person who choreographed it, Gen Horiuchi, who's artistic director for St. Louis Ballet, he was actually the last male dancer in New York City Ballet to be cast by Balanchine. So kind of some little Toledo Ballet trivia for you.
I've only got a few questions left. The first title of the Nutcracker Ballet was it Casse-Noisette? Was it Charcuterie? Was it... Which translates to Delicatessen, if you didn't know. Nussbaum and Mauskönig? Or was it Soccertortstadt, which is Soccertort City? Which one was it?
Definitely not Soccertort City. I'd go for C.
Nussbaum and Mauskönig?
Yeah.
Walnut and Mouse King? No, actually it was Casse-Noisette, which actually means nutcracker in French.
Really?
Yeah. Everything was all about French because it came to Russia into French translation.
Through
right?
Dumas, right?
The E.T.A. Hoffman story. Well, now you ruined my next question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zach.
Never mind.
But
Just had a Dumas.
But there are two Dumas.
What is Dumas? Who is Dumas?
There's Dumas the father.
It's pronounced... Never mind.
And Dumas the son. Dumas the father, who wrote the Three Musketeers. Dumas the son, who wrote the Lady of the Camillas, which inspired La Traviata. Right. So which one was it? The father or the son? Who translated E.T.A. Hoffman into French, and then that's what caught Tchaikovsky's attention. It was the son.
It was the son.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alexander Dumas' fils, the son. Tchaikovsky had planned to set the Nutcracker as a one-act ballet paired with a fairy tale opera whose working title was King René's Daughter. So under what title is this fairy tale better known, and who actually brought it to the stage? Is it Romeo and Juliet by Charles Gounod? Is it Iolanthe by Gilbert and Sullivan? Is it The Cunning Little Vixen by Leos Janáček? Or is it Le Corsaire by Hector Berlioz? One of those. See, I told you they would get harder as we went along.
Could you give us the composers again, please?
Gounod?
Can we call a lifeline?
Right.
Is it Charles Gounod, Arthur Sullivan, Leos Janáček, or Hector Berlioz?
Get rid of Berlioz because of time. So I'd say my guess would be Janáček.
Close, but that is not correct, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, gosh. It is getting harder.
Seriously.
So that cuts out Janáček. So now you have a 50-50 chance between Charles Gounod and Sir Arthur Sullivan.
It's up to you guys.
I
I'm
just
didn't
gonna
study
randomly
for
guess.
50, Alex.
Gounod.
All right,
Michael?
Michael, it's up to you. You have one guess left. I hope you get it right.
What's your guess?
What did you guys guess?
Okay. Well,
doing my
of the
taxes.
remaining
That's how exciting this podcast is, folks. He's
of
doing
the
his taxes.
remaining composers, of the
The
remaining
ones they
I thought
did
there
not
was one
pick.
left.
wait, of the remaining composers, you can choose between Gilbert and Sullivan.
Gilbert and Sullivan. I really wasn't kind of not paying
There you
attention to that question.
Very good.
All right. I'm
And
back.
finally-
I'm back.
Finally, the final question here is the second to last question actually. What is a mirliton, or do you say mirliton? Mirliton. What is a mirliton? Is it a lap-sized harp, a gold trumpet played in C instead of B flat, a reed flute, or an electronic instrument best known outside Nutcracker for its use in the soundtrack of Spellbound?
Ooh.
A reed
Right.
flute.
A reed flute.
I can't imagine.
Oh, you were asking? I thought you were saying. Because
Oh,
that's
no.
the answer.
Oh, is it?
And Felicia got that
also
one
used-
correct.
Felicia's all of a sudden like, yes, I mean a reed flute.
Okay, now my final question is which, and you have to know the music to get this, but which the dance of the Mirlitons reminds me, Brad, of what cartoon superhero theme song?
We
Is
have
it-
to guess inside your mind right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, you
Are you
can
gonna sing it
figure
for
this
us?
out.
Secret Agent Man?
It's either Mighty Mouse, Super Friends, Underdog, or Teen Titans.
Never heard of any of those.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Well,
Mighty Mouse. That's
let
all I
me
got.
let me play it for you and see if you concur.
When criminals in this world appear and bring along
What is that?
the cry goes up both far and near for underdog.
All right, somebody has a lot of alone time at home, don't they?
No, much more than you would suspect. Yeah.
When you have
I
15,000
can hear it,
CDs at your disposal, these sorts of things come up.
But I'm also dating myself, I guess, because Felicia doesn't seem to know
I loved it.
Underdog.
I had an underdog stuffed animal as a child. So
Really?
I'm there with you. Yeah. I was trying to think
Instead of a Nutcracker. Hey, there's another idea for Nutcracker.
the underdog. Fritz breaks
Might be tough
underdog's
to
head.
break it apart. Yeah.
or is it Shoeshine Boy? Because, that's his
Right.
his alter ego.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay.
God, I haven't thought about underdog.
I'm
in
not
years.
sure who won that quiz. I
I
think
I thought you were
taking
tallying and
points.
keeping track.
I think Felicia accidentally won
it was
with the
David Letterman.
reed pipe.
I accidentally won. Oh, hooray.
when you got to the reed pipe
Her
thing.
reed flute question put her over the top.
Question answer.
Question/answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got some other fun things for us to listen to, and these are some Nutcracker War Stories. When I first talked about doing a show on the Nutcracker, people immediately started offering up, their horror stories of what has happened during stage productions of Nutcracker. So we're not trying to scare anybody away. If anything, maybe people would be interested in coming just in hopes that
We just entice the dads to get out of the house and turn
some
off the football
disaster
game. Yeah,
will unfold on the stage, right?
exactly.
So I thought I would play a cut of one of the performers from the orchestra. We had a couple of them call in and leave their Nutcracker War Stories, which I've taken the liberty of illustrating a little bit with some sound effects and music to sort of help us get into it. So we'll start with the first one here, and this gentleman introduces himself, so no introduction necessary. Nutcracker War Story number 1 from the Toledo Symphony.
That's a war story unto
yeah,
itself.
I'm hearing it already.
Hi, my name is Reed Anderson, and I joined the viola section of the Toledo Symphony in 1988. I believe the year was 2004 or 05 when I found myself once again in the pit of the Stranahan Theater playing my viola part in Toledo Ballet's annual performance of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker. If you have ever looked over the edge of the pit, you'll see there is very little room for the musicians to move, let alone play their instruments. During that year's performance, we were in the middle of the battle scene where the Rat King and his mice minions are fighting the Nutcracker and his toy soldiers. Unbeknownst to me and my stand partner, one of the mice minions twisted the mouse head part of her costume so that she could not see out of the eye holes. Instead of standing still, possibly obstructing the action on the stage, she kept on moving while unable to see and fell into the pit, amazingly missing myself, my stand partner, and the cello section sitting directly behind us.
Wow.
I swear there was no more than a 30-inch opening the mouse could fit through without landing directly on someone's head or instrument or chair or stand. This truly was a miracle, in my humble opinion. Unfortunately for my viola, the mouse costume caught the bridge of my viola and yanked it so violently that the bridge slid sideways, broke all my strings, and anything attached, like the bridge, tailpiece, and pegs. These all went sailing while my bow fell to the floor. I was left, sitting there, holding just my viola.
For the rest of the show.
Pluck, 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 pluck.
Sing your part. You gotta sing your part now.
Of course, the performance kept going, while many of the musicians on our side of the pit sat completely stunned. Fortunately, the battle scene occurs just before intermission, so I waited until the music stopped, received help from my colleagues in hunting for my bow and missing pieces, and we all helped each other exit the pit. Obviously, my day was over, yet my viola was basically uninjured, following the unexpected arrival of our mouse friend. Long story short, my viola was fine, outside of a couple scratches. My bow was fine, the mouse was fine, and surprisingly, very few people in the audience saw the actual incident.
I'm glad the mouse was fine.
Now,
Well, I was just gonna
every
say,
year
we
when
haven't
get to that
mentioned the
section of
mouse.
Music, my stand partner and I cautiously look up in the air and smile at each other. True story.
True story.
As a side note, the mouse did not survive. But the viola is fine and still usable. We have so many mice, though. There's
Which one is it?
tons.
Which one could it
just
have been?
send to the next one.
Next.
Next rodent.
Okay, it's hard to beat that story.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Reed actually said that the girl who played the mouse actually studied the viola, or went on to study the viola.
I guess
perfect.
Because it's wedged in her neck.
She didn't have a
She's the only
choice.
kid that has no case for the viola. She just carries it around with her all the time.
I wonder if you run into problems on airplanes with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would think
right?
so. How do you check it?
Interesting. Okay, well,
I don't have a Nutcracker story like that, but in Beauty and the Beast.
oh well, hang on. I have some music for you.
Oh.
Let's set the scene for you.
Tale as old as time.
Oh, there's more? Oh, this is...
There you go. Now there's your music.
Well, this is a Beauty and the Beast story on Broadway where the chip was in this rolling cart and they have this effect, they do, and same kind of thing happened. The kid rolled right into the pit in the car, but he's like helpless. He's just this rolling thing. But they had these nets up, and luckily the net kind of caught him.
So he's just suspended there in front of the stage?
Pretty much, yeah. We just left him there,
So you've never
comic effect,
Chip's not that important to the storyline, really.
You've never
just goes back in
experienced
the cupboard.
a Nutcracker War Story.
I haven't personally. I mean, we've had little things that I've seen, like girls getting their crowns stuck in, scenery and that kind of thing, but nothing quite as tragic as the mouse flying into the pit story. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I have one more of these Nutcracker War Stories. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's this comes to us from the concertmaster of the Toledo Symphony, actually.
Hello, this is Kirk, concertmaster of the Toledo Symphony. I just want to recall one of the most memorable Nutcracker performances for me, which was on a Friday morning performance given for local area schools about 10 years or so ago. Students from schools all over Toledo had been bused to the Stranahan Theater. They were ushered to their seats and were, of course, noisily anticipating the start of the show. The orchestra was in its place as well in the pit, ready to begin the famous Nutcracker Overture. The start time of 10 a.m. came and went, but the house lights remained undimmed. What the audience didn't know was that an animated discussion was taking place at the conductor's podium between myself and the production manager for the morning's performance. The conductor was nowhere to be found. The clock was ticking. Already it was 10 minutes after 10 a.m., no conductor, and the manager was asking me to begin the show, to conduct the show. I was quite reluctant, naturally, but when the manager threatened to conduct it herself, if I did not, I relented. I stepped on the podium after handing my violin and bow to my stand partner for safekeeping, picked up a pencil as a baton, and began conducting my first Nutcracker ballet ever.
Well, they sound pretty good.
I was able to read my first violin part for the proper meter and followed the phrasing of the orchestra musicians for nuances of tempo, etc. I made it well into the party scene where the Nutcracker is presented to Clara by Herr Drosselmeyer, when in a sudden scramble, the conductor arrives in the pit. I passed him the baton as if I was in a relay race, without dropping a beat. And, like dominoes, the first violins all moved back one seat to make room for me in my usual chair, all the while the music continuing without interruption to a successful conclusion. Apparently, the conductor had been in the theater all along, but had the wrong start time in mind. When he heard the ballet music begin without him, he raced to the pit and picked up where I left off. Certainly for me, that was my most unnerving yet memorable Nutcracker experience. Thank you. Goodbye.
Not to mention the adrenaline rush and the tempos. Dancers frantically.
Well, yeah. I imagine the conductor squealing his way into the pit. Yeah.
Like Starsky and Hutch.
Exactly. Right through the window. He went right through the prompter's box.
Dove into the pit. I'm ready.
Well, we've done a lot of talking about what things can go wrong in the Nutcracker. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about what things can go right in the Nutcracker? Can you talk a little bit about this production in particular? Is this a traditional Nutcracker presentation? Have you seen it, Michael? Have you been?
We're doing the Nutcracker? Yeah. My wife, Lisa Mayer, who's the artistic director of the Toledo Ballet, she's actually the one that directs it. So it's kind of her baby, and I kind of do the spring productions every year. So I don't have a direct hand on, I know rehearsal wise, they're going pretty hard and heavy right now. But everything's, it is a traditional one. Like I mentioned before, again, Horiuchi, it's his choreography, that we've used for the last 11 years.
Yeah. And what I love about the ballet in particular is, we know all of those famous dances. When you think of Nutcracker, all this really well-known music from Nutcracker, but almost all of that happens in the second act. You don't get it right away at first. So there's a big sense of anticipation that builds up throughout. And then when you finally get into all the dances in front of Clara in the Land of Sweets, and you're like, oh, I know that tune. Oh, I know that tune. And it just becomes a hit parade of all these wonderful, wonderful Tchaikovsky melodies.
Well, can I just say a couple words about this collaboration?
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm so happy that you're here with us today, Michael, is that Toledo Symphony and Toledo Ballet have been working on this Nutcracker since 1949. And I think the orchestra, so the Toledo Symphony was premiered in its current incarnation in 1943. So Symphony was only 6 years old and really ready to go prime time with its presentation of the Nutcracker. And again, that was at the very beginning of Nutcracker being a holiday mainstay. But at that point, I think the orchestra had done it once before. They brought the ballet in and basically turned it over to the ballet. And this has been an ongoing relationship since 1949.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Really, really pleased
I think it also speaks to the innovative spirit of Marie Vogt too, that she had this, foresight to collaborate this way, and it's still going today. It's just amazing.
It is. And that was so rare. It still is. So you look at organizations in towns like Dayton, for example, where the ballet and the Philharmonic are only working together now. But we've been doing it for so long.
A long time.
Yeah.
Well, for folks who have not seen Nutcracker, it's a great family tradition because it's so family friendly and so kid friendly, and you really, if you haven't gone, as the commercial says, start a new tradition, right?
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite parts is viewing the lobby at intermission and just seeing all these little girls who are just out there spinning in their dresses. It's definitely, I mean, that dream of Clara lives in every one of those little girls that walk through the thing, the theater.
Well, again, the 77th Annual Nutcracker presented by Toledo Ballet at the Stranahan Theater with the Toledo Symphony. It's this weekend, Saturday, December 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, also 7 o'clock in the evening, and on Sunday, an additional matinee, December 10th at 2 o'clock. More information at toledosymphony.com. You can call the box office at 419-246-8000. My thanks to everyone who joined us this morning, especially to you, Michael Lang. Thank you for joining us.
It was a lot of fun.
Toledo Symphony Lab is generously underwritten by a gift from the estate of Barbara Garwood and is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org. We're also available on Apple Music. We want to hear from you. Give us a call. Leave your comments or your questions at 419-418-0012. We may use your voice in a future episode. And remember, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website. That's toledosymphony.com. I'm Brad Cresswell, and this has been Toledo Symphony Lab here on FM 91.